What is up, guys, gals, and you awesome means and gamers, different shapes and sizes. It is me, Josh Proxy, bringing you a proxy payload today about something really disappointing. Not like angry disappointing, not in like a sense of like when you realize that giving birth doesn't lead to a golden egg, but instead a small little innocent child, but more in a sense of like, wow, I can't believe they did that. And this is obviously about Bosskey. It's about Cliff Bosskey and his new business venture, obviously a video game one, which is obviously the Battle Royale game. They're actually going to bring out a game called Radical Heights, and funnily enough, it looks just like every other single one out there, and I feel like this is a wasted opportunity. I wanted to do this as an editorial, but at the same time, I really wanted to get this out there because it seems that everyone is sharing this opinion at the moment, and it's really depressing. It's so saddening that they seem to be continuously making the worst business decisions ever. Just freaking ever when it comes to modern indie developers. And it's this thing as well where Cliffy B had this, we're not supposed to call him that anymore, I'm really, really sorry, but it's this thing where he's gone out of his own. He was helping with Unreal Tournament. He was pretty much the father of Gears of War, I guess, and the funny thing is that all of these games that he's worked on have had really, really good aesthetics, and we saw this with Lawbreakers, which was obviously his first game venturing out there as an independent developer, as a independent business owner of a game company, and this was obviously as Bosskey making Lawbreakers. Lawbreakers kind of came out in a really weird moment where Overwatch was incredibly popular, and it's this thing where, and a lot of people are saying this, it's a trend following. This is what they ended up doing. They ended up realizing that maybe, possibly, potentially, they could cash in on the awesomeness that is Overwatch, that is all of these other games, like, say, Paladins, and it's so annoying because Lawbreakers had this really fantastic aesthetic. It kind of like called back to the original Unreal Tournaments like 2003 and 2004, where it had this kind of like mix of really gritty sci-fi, but also like a cleanliness to it, like when you see like Gordon Ramsay like redoing a restaurant and it's like incredibly sterile. That's the word, sterile. It's like sterile but gritty sci-fi. And Lawbreakers looked great. It looked really, really cool, and it was so saddening to see it fail because they ended up just falling onwards to the Overwatch kind of like mechanic kind of thing of, let's just have two teams fighting against each other, having hero characters, and then just unlocking some stuff sometimes. And that was a really sad thing to go because Lawbreakers had that potential of using all these really cool game mechanic ideas, all these really awesome, sexy looking male and female heroes that you could have put in a Battle Royale game. And now what they've ended up doing is just scrapping all of it. Being like, all this hard work that my team have been doing, let's just get rid of all that and let's just make this cookie cutter. It literally looks like if someone ended up making this like, what would you call it, I don't know, like just a crap machine. I'm just gonna call it a crap machine. And then you press some buttons, you've got Battle Royale, and then M60 machine guns. And this is the thing, I always found this funny, is that all these Battle Royale games have assault rifles in them, and it's always the same one. It's an M16 for some reason. I don't know why they keep using this gun. I have no idea. But in the end, why is it that it always follows the exact same formula, and then it just comes out looking exactly the same? So you've had PUBG, which is a really good game. I actually really, really like it. It's a Battle Royale game that I was intrigued in for a while, and then it kind of lost that luster to it. I ended up kind of like playing it one day, and I was actually talking to Alexis about this earlier, where it was this thing where I'm getting really sick of, not dying in a sense, but like the formula of playing Battle Royale games. So what you end up doing is, obviously in a Battle Royale game, is you play it, and then you die, then you have to go to the menu screen, you have to go through all of that spiel, and then you do it again. But it's this thing where the wait times when it comes to Battle Royale games is really, really annoying, and it's that thing where from the early access alpha, I don't think it's come out as early access yet, I know it's in early alpha, but from the stuff they have shown, it's like you're following everything to a T. Like, that's the one thing I hate about Battle Royale games, is the in-between, that dead moment where you're not playing the game, you're having to get back into it. And I really hate that. Not just the repetitive stuff, like, it's literally just landing down on a parachute on a random island and then trying to find a gun and survive as long as possible. Like, I get it. I really like Fortnite's way of doing it, which I think is a little bit more inventive, where obviously they kind of mixed in their PvE thing from the Save the World, where you kind of like build forts and stuff like that. That is why we did the Spotlight Challenge. It was this thing where I thought it would be like a really, really cool idea. And because it's a Battle Royale game that actually goes in a good direction, well, say like PUBG is more of a template. And so seeing another game come along just as the template is kind of weird. Now, I've been watching some gameplay of this, and it's a little bit baffling. So it's kind of like, it's grounded, but in a weird way of having like a Dead Rising 2 game show kind of thing with it. Also with some kind of like really generic looking 80s theme. And I love the 80s. It's like one of my favorite time periods, actually the favorite time period for me. And so seeing it so defiled in such a generic, boring way is I just don't know what to think about it. It's this thing where you had so much potential, but with that potential, with Radical Heights, you have this thing where you could have just used, and this is the whole point of the video, you could have just used Lawbreakers to make this game. It's this thing where you have this amazing set of assets, you build all these things from the ground up, all these characters, this art style, this world, this universe, and you could have just changed it. You could have made a freaking map out of the assets from your sci-fi world and had a Battle Royale game from that. Can you imagine a sci-fi Battle Royale game? That would be freaking amazing. And they didn't do that. They went through another forest area with buildings put into it, just randomly placed, and you could have had the complete opposite. You could have had this thing which was like so exciting, so different. It could have had this actual, like, you know, having all those hero characters that are like sci-fi things, like Overwatch in a sense, but a little bit more crazy, like Unreal Tournament, which is what Lawbreakers had. And then you could have made it into a Battle Royale game if you really, really wanted to. You could have made that a story game easily. Like, it could have been like Brink, but better. Like, it could have been the Brink game that we all wanted. Do you remember Brink? Oh my god, that was even more disappointing. There was no gold nugget coming out of that pregnancy. And so, it's this thing where you so could have done something so great and so different, but it's so disappointing. Like, and it was this thing where, like, when I saw that Lawbreakers, they pretty much just like threw Lawbreakers away. They ended up making that announcement where it was like, yeah, we're done with that. It hasn't made any kind of success whatsoever. And instead of like adapting, and this is the thing, when it comes to failure shouldn't be giving up. Failure is adapting to your failure and then getting back on that horse and doing something about it, using what you've created. And even if it does end up not going the way you want it, go back to the drawing board, fix it, don't throw it away. And to see them just chuck it, just bin it, is so annoying. It's this thing where at least you could even, like, say, release the assets to the public so they could make their own freaking sci-fi Battle Royale game using Lawbreakers. Like, the possibilities are endless when it comes to the potential that you had when it came to Lawbreakers and what you could have done with even just the characters. The characters themselves all looked really freaking badass, and you could have done something with that. But instead, you just completely blocked it, and now they're all wearing costume, like, the character model for the Radical Heights. Like, right now, my mind is completely wanting to black out and just forget about this game because it's just so disappointing. It's just so, like, just looking at it, it's like what? Like, I just want to, like, look at Cliffy B and go, why? Like when they were like in the meeting room and they're like, right, so here's Lawbreakers, let's just leave that alone now and like just not bother it anymore. Like, all those people that they're not even gonna make it free to play. It's so baffling. You've got a game there and you can make it into, you could adapt it, and then they end up making this thing, and so they're in this meeting room, they're like, hey, let's just make a Battle Royale game. And it's like, it's not, when you go into a board meeting, when you go into a developer meeting, this is something that I've had experience with when I was in, say, like, university, and just from university alone, you sit in a little group, and you say to yourself, this genre of game is cool, how do we make it better? How do we make it more awesome? You don't say, hey, that genre of game is cool, let's do that. You know? You think to yourself, like, when you think of all these video games that are out there, they're usually trying to outdo them, like, each other. And in this one, it was like, let's just make that. And it's so playing it, like, safe to the point of where even the aesthetics are just so bad. And it's just so depressing. And it's like, it's this thing where I hope so much for what Cliffy B and Bosskey could do. Because even, like, they had so much potential. It was this thing where you have this guy who made a really successful game series. And it created the iconic, like, Chainsaw Lance, you know? And it was this thing where, like, you could have done something with that brain, with that kind of, like, even if he is the brainchild of this, you know, if he's the one that kind of, like, sat and was like, I'm gonna do this, and then kind of, like, nobody had to say against it. Like, it feels like some kind of really weird business decision that nobody kind of, like, kicked him to the floor and said, no, bad Bill. It's like, what do you do with that? It's like, where do you, I can't even see this being successful. It's this thing, I would really love to know your opinion of it, and it just completely baffled me that I had to make a video about it. It was this thing where I was just completely shocked, and it's, again, you have Lawbreakers, you have this amazing aesthetic, not amazing, but still, like, you have this really, really intriguing sci-fi thing, and you could do something with that. You could use those weapons, you could, and it's this thing, again, we haven't had that kind of game before. When it comes to a battle royale, we've already had the grounded modern day thing with all the modern day weapons, with the parachuting, with the trying to get within the circle and stay within it and all that kind of stuff. We've had this, but then how do you move onwards from that? How do you create something bigger, something more interesting? How do you dominate that market? You don't think to yourself, I have got an idea. Why don't we put BMX races in random areas of the map? That'll be a really cool idea. So this is something that they've ended up doing. So as I was saying before, with the random things that they've added in, they've added a template, and then they thought, instead of how can we improve it, how can we make ours a little bit more spunky? So it's the exact same game, but you have, from what I've seen, BMX races in it, because you can just ride BMXs for some reason. They've decided, you know what, it'd be really cool if you could just ride a bike around. And it's this kind of like baffling thing where it's like, but if you're riding a bike, you're going to get shot on the bike because you only have one life. So why would you ride a bike around? It has like no kind of like purpose like whatsoever, and like maybe they'll do some kind of thing where it's going to be the introduction to, say, like vehicles possibly. Like I know that like PUBG has vehicles, but like of a bike, and then being able to do tricks, because you can do tricks on these bikes, it seems like you can do like go up like skateboard ramps and stuff like that, and so it'll be like the first game where you can actually do tricks and then shoot people, so it'll be kind of like a vehicular combat PUBG battle royale Fortnite, and it's so weird. And I just it's like, again, it's just kind of like you just want to sit in front of Cliff Bleszinski and just look at him with a really puzzled like look, and just kind of like tilt your head to the side and just await his answer while a montage of this game is just showing in the background, and just being kind of like, why Cliff, why did you do this? Why did you put money into this? Because you have no reason to. And sometimes I think, you know, the money that they must have thrown into this, and for it to turn out like this, like he must have like walked in one day so excited, he had his cup of coffee from like Starbucks or something, and he was like, you know what, today's gonna be a great day, we've got a possible new game concept, you know, and it's gonna be, you know, we're gonna follow that trend, but we're gonna do something awesome with it. And he walked in and he saw this, and it's like I could feel myself just looking at that footage, and I'm not even a game developer, like, and from the reaction from everybody, this is like one of the most disliked battle royale games from the looks of it, just from the trailers alone. And it's that thing where my soul would have just left me. Like, my body would slowly fall to the ground, just crumbling, pale and just abandoned from thy spirit. And just slowly looking down as I float away, just thinking, I'm just done. But either way, I'd love to know your opinion of this. Like, how could you make Battle Royale better? There are so many ways, there are so many possibilities, yet it seems like they all just want to follow the same thing. Like, we've seen this with mobile games now as well, like, and especially when you are a studio that has your poster child thing, which is obviously for Bosskey, this was Lawbreakers. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you take these things, instead of giving up on it, why wouldn't you take these things that were really good about your products, these things that you work so hard on, and then using them for something awesome? It's just like, I just kind of like I want to start drinking for Cliffy because of just how poor of a game design choice this was. And it's this thing where I really don't want to see this studio fail, and this is the main thing. It's not just about making a poor ass game, it's this thing of that this is people's jobs that are on the line here, and if they, you know, usually when you get to strike two, you're out, you know, and then because they're not going to get that strike free. That's the thing, they're not going to get that strike free, they're going to be at strike two. A lot of companies, once they get that second fail, then that's completely it, you're out. And so I really hope the best for them. I'm not going to play it. I can't see myself playing the state of this game if it's going to continue like this. Like, I just don't, I just, like, I was going to say maybe I get it, but I don't. Like, I get the whole thing of following and copying and stuff and not being, you know, what would you say, innovative and a unique, like, when people look forwards into the future and they see these battle royale games, nobody's gonna say, hey, did you see Radical Heights? I assure you, even in 5 years, 2 years, no one is gonna say, hey, you playing Radical Heights right now? Even just saying that title doesn't seem right. Something seems off about that. But then when you say, have you been playing Lawbreakers recently? Yes, that was a very good title pick. And then you have your game, which had potential, it failed. Yeah, and we all accept that. Lawbreakers completely failed. It didn't deserve to. It had a great groundwork set for it, where it could have built up to be something even better. Did you pick the wrong genre to try and copy that time? Yes, but you have a fantastic art team. You have people who are so incredibly talented, and this is what you make them do. You ask them to model AK-47s and M16s. The stuff that students do in university. You have people who have spent their lives wanting to design futuristic cars, robots punching alien squid in the face while the squids tendrilize themselves around the robots and then try and take them over. Really, like, awesome female hero characters, male characters, guns, things that will just blow your mind, like the original Unreal did, and Quakes and stuff like that. And instead, you're making them model real-world guns, and a lot of these things you can get from asset packs, which makes me wonder if they actually have got these from asset packs. And that just is so saddening, because when you jump into a video game, if you could think of like a video game that you play, and it's that kind of thing where it's something new, it's something fresh, even like say the upcoming God of War, like it's so completely different when it comes to the genre and everything, I know that, but like the first thing you see is that freaking badass axe, and that is just one weapon in the game. And it's that thing where you jump into that game, you get that axe, and you think, oh golly, that looks awesome. If you go into, say, and I'm going to use it again, if you go into Unreal Tournament, or if you go into Doom, that first gun you pick up, that shotgun, and he pumps and it's like, yes, it's a shotgun, but it looks freaking awesome. Or just anything like that. But then when you drop into a game, and you pick up an AK-47, and you kind of just go, it's like, I guess it's like the most reliable gun in all video games, so why not? But it doesn't make you think, holy shizzle, I cannot wait to use this. You don't sit there for a moment, analyze it, and think, oh my god, that's awesome. Like you would do with, like, say, Lawbreakers. I played the beta for that, and I really liked the medic characters, and their guns were really cool. All the characters had these unique things, and this is the thing when it comes to hero characters, they all have unique guns. But what if, now hold that thought, what if you took away all the hero characters' guns and made it so everybody could use them? Just hold that thought for a second. How awesome would that be if you had these really cool guns scattered around on a giant sci-fi map, using these really cool sci-fi hero characters, and in some way having some kind of different game mechanic than just a circle coming in to kill you all and having to survive? It could still have that survival aspect to it. Maybe you could put PvEs into it. Maybe it could be Lawbreakers. This is the thing. This is like me trying to attempt to fix Lawbreakers for these people. But it's like, what if you did it where it actually sits by the title, where you're playing as the Law or you're playing as the Lawbreakers, and then it's this thing. Is that what the whole class does? Where there was one team called the Breakers and the other one was just called the Law? I can't remember. But it's this thing where, and then you could have like the Law be the PvE aspect of it, like you could have like something like Halo 5's Warzone where you have, or like say DayZ, where you have like not zombies, but you'd have the Law walking around and the Breakers would be the character players running around, or vice versa. And it'd be this really cool thing where it's like, it makes sense, you could do something with that, and you could be in this really cool sci-fi world. And it's like, why is that not there? Why are you not doing that? And so I really love to know your ideas, your opinions. Do you agree with this? Are you excited for Radical Heights? Or would you have liked to have seen what they could have actually done with, like, I know that Lawbreakers is pretty much dead in the war and they're just so completely abandoning it. I hope that they kind of backtrack on that and that they give it the love and respect that it deserves, and for the team that worked so hard on it deserves as well. And just using those assets, like, don't waste your game, especially since it's currently sitting on the PlayStation, Xbox, and PC storefronts, like, ready to be bought. You have just thrown your own game under the bus, and you're still leaving it on the store ready for people to buy? what does that say about you? What does that say about you as a developer, as a creator, as someone who is trying to bring content to someone? A package that shows no value to your creative work. That shows nothing to your company, who is currently solely based on Lawbreakers, on that one game. It's that kind of thing where it's like, when you look at, like, and I know that like Epic Games did this with their recent Unreal Engine game, which was Paragon. They threw that one under the bus. That one was obviously more of like a League of Legends, like MOBA type, but it was still this kind of thing where, like, they left the assets to the community to do something with it. You could actually make a battle royale out of that, out of Paragon and stuff. But it's that kind of thing where, why aren't Bosskey doing the exact same thing? Why are they not releasing these assets to the community so then we could have that kind of battle royale game that people would actually be excited about? Because it's this thing where you have all the stuff there. All you need to do is think of a really good idea. And I really think that Cliffy B, if he really sat down and thought about it, instead of just trying to make a quick buck. And the funny thing is that this whole game is about what's it called, like cash grabbing or something in it. Like, there's like random spurts of money and stuff. It feels like the game is like some form of like weird dark joke about Cliffy B and his whole business aspect in itself. So that was kind of funny as well. But yeah. So what do you think? Comment section below. Would love to know. And if you enjoyed this little rant, and if you want to see even more videos, why not drop a like to show support and possibly subscribe? I'd love to see you next time. Love to see your opinions in the comment sections below. Or why not say yes or no if you agree in the poll at the top right. But either way, it's been me, Josh, aka Proxy, and I'll see you all next time. Ciao for now.